incredible show of support and mourning. Greensboro police officers and other law enforcement and first responders will soon begin the process of bringing a hero home. It'll be an emotional couple of hours as a processional transports the body of Officer Michael Horan back to Greensboro.
It's like each one of them lost a family member, and it's hard. And it was hard on us because we love our police.
A police officer, also a member of the Coast Guard, with that video you saw moments ago. Friends, family, co-workers all coming together today to unite and remember Horan, being considered by many as a hero.
As you know, police say Officer Horan died Monday while responding to a Food Lion where a man had a gun.
Yeah, and reports of this man acting suspiciously. After a high-speed chase through multiple counties, police stopped Terrell McMillan in Duplin County. He is now charged with first-degree murder. He appeared virtually in court yesterday, and if convicted of the existing charge, he could receive up to life in prison or the death penalty. Just
last night, we learned state troopers used Officer Horan's own handcuffs to detain the suspect and bring him back to Greensboro.
The procession for Horan is expected to start at any moment. Right now, this is a live look outside of the state chief medical examiner's office in Raleigh, where you can see an assembly of law enforcement from various agencies. We know there are several Guilford County representatives there from the Greensboro Police Department, Guilford County Sheriff's Office, and Guilford EMS.
We know that at least 10 EMS workers will be part of this, including an ambulance by the Guilford County EMS office that will be transporting his body back to Greensboro. That final stop will be Haynes Lineberry Funeral Home on West Gate City Boulevard on the southwest side of the city. There will be multiple federal, state, and local agencies staged on overpasses along the route as local law enforcement and first responders lead the way.
Our team is stationed along the route. You can see it highlighted in yellow there. And now here is a compilation of our live cameras. Anyone attending perhaps on one of the bridges or overpasses of the highway is asked not to park on the highways, stop traffic, or put themselves in dangerous situations along the route. So let's explain why this is happening in Raleigh. We know the crime occurred in Greensboro. Horan died in Greensboro, and his body was transported to the state medical examiner's office in Raleigh. That is largely a protocol in incidents of violent crime, especially those involving law enforcement. Guilford County's jurisdiction is covered by the state medical examiner's office in Raleigh, so that is why he is there and now will today be transported back to Greensboro.
And you know, I hate making the parallel, but you know, we saw this just a year ago after Sergeant Dale Nix died, and you know, to see this is just it's going to be a very emotional 90 minutes as this processional makes its way. We know that, you know, they're starting at about 4:30, and it's going to be rush hour traffic. We'll see how it goes through traffic. It's going to be going from I-40 to I-840 down to the southern side of the city and then get off on Gate City Boulevard.
Just this show of support from agencies all across our state is so powerful. Even in court yesterday, the suspect did not even appear in person. He appeared virtually. But inside the courtroom, packing the rows of the court, were police officers, his comrades, who wanted to be there as a voice of justice.
So we do know that Horan, he was a father, a husband, a son, and a friend. Police say he was an excellent officer with an outstanding reputation. And he was hired by the department in September of 2017 and became a sworn GPD officer in early 2018.
Yeah, before Greensboro Police, as we mentioned, and these are the pictures corresponding with this, Horan served 18 years with the Coast Guard. Part of his service included New York City and D.C. 9/11 harbor defense operations after the 9/11 terror attacks.
Horan was part of the 1st Coast Guard counterterrorism unit in Seattle. He conducted counter-terror, counter-narcotics, and counter-human trafficking missions across 5 states. He received a life-saving award for rescuing a father and his son from rip currents while on vacation with his family in Emerald Isle, according to Greensboro Police. The U.S. Coast Guard sent us a statement following his death, writing, "We extend our deepest sympathies to the Greensboro Police Department and loved ones of Coast Guard member Petty Officer First Class Michael Horan."
As we mentioned, there is a growing memorial outside of police headquarters in Greensboro. This memorial started Monday night, soon after everyone started learning about what had happened at Food Lion earlier that day. People, strangers and friends of Horan have come out to pay their respects.
He was just on duty doing his job. And so every day that we talk about the women and men of our police department, we got to understand what they do and the risk that they take. And he did it with honor and valor. And we lost another great person for senseless violence.
More people are out hoping to honor Officer Horan on his journey home.
Yeah, that was City Council member Zach Matheny. This crime occurred in his district. We heard from other City Council members all this week. They are just devastated by what happened. This same City Council passed a resolution shortly after the death of Sergeant Dale Nix, and they vow to support this family as well. WFMY News 2's Joseph Leonard joins us now, back live at Highway 61 and I-40, the exchange in Whitsett. Joseph, you talk with EMS about its role in this honorable process.
Yeah, we're standing here with Scott Muthersbaugh from Guilford County EMS, who is involved in this procession today. And Scott, you were telling me earlier just how important it is for y'all to be involved.
Yeah, we really want to keep the focus on Greensboro Police Department and the Horan family, but we're honored to be to play a small part of being involved with this. So I feel like you can really see that manifestation of all the first responder family kind of coming together as you look out on the bridge, and we've got fire department and a lot of different law enforcement agencies and Guilford County EMS, and we sort of try to show that broad manifestation of us all pulling together in this really tough time.
And earlier you were telling me, all first responders understand the dangers of this job, but when something like this happens, it just hits close to home. Talk me through the emotions and the mood that has been, among your department and other departments.
Yeah, I mean, it's been undeniably somber. It's the kind of thing where you try to put out of your head how dangerous the job is, but it's always there a little bit, and then there's an event that really highlights how tough a job it is for all public service. But I feel like the mood kind of matches the weather right now. So people are trying to really draw together and keep the focus on supporting our brothers and sisters out on the street right now.
And obviously, like you mentioned, there's fire here, there's police here, there's sheriff's deputies here. As a first responder, when you see them all come together and all to honor a fallen hero, just walk me through how important it is to see them all come together.
Yeah, I feel like it's the kind of thing that's always present but not always visible. So we run calls with all of these different agencies on a routine basis, but the public doesn't always see that, where you'll see a fire truck come up to an EMS call, and that's a bit of that physical manifestation, but this is where you really do get to see the family draw together and come out with all of the different agencies to support and clearly show that family togetherness and kind of the brotherhood and the sisterhood of first responders.
And obviously we've seen a lot of people stop by the memorial. We're seeing some regular folks who live around here coming out here to show support. When you see that, when you see regular people and folks who live around here just coming together to honor him, how important is that to you and to the other first responders out here?
Yeah, it's absolutely heartening. I mean, it's nice to see that support, and we do try to pass along any messages that we've gotten to the police department and the family to show that the support is actually even overflowing that agency. So it sort of comes to all of us, but we really are trying to pass that back to the folks that are so directly involved and just support them however we can in terms of letting them know that they're not alone in this.
And I know y'all have about 10 folks who were in the procession. Walk me through just how powerful and emotional it is for them and important for them to be a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's way too early for closure, but it's kind of that continuation of the process of processing that scene and grieving alongside the agency and the family and everybody that Officer Horan loved and loved him.
Well, we will continue our coverage here on Highway 61 and I-40. Live in Whitsett, Joseph Leonard, WFMY News 2.
Joseph, thank you. And as we've mentioned, when Officer Horan's body arrives back in Greensboro tonight, it will end at the Haynes Lineberry Funeral Home.
That's where WFMY News 2's Nixon Norman is with what happens next. Nixon, we now have a funeral date.
Yes, we do have that funeral date, January 9th. And actually here at the Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home, we're actually starting to see some action. If you take a look behind me, you can likely see this fire engine over here. It is a Greensboro fire engine, and they actually too have a Greensboro police bus here. It is a bus that has been marked with Greensboro police logos, as well as several officers and police patrol units coming here to the Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home, just really showing that Officer Horan's brothers and sisters in blue are ready and setting up and preparing for him to come back here to Greensboro, the same city he has been serving since 2018. Now, as of right now, that seems to be all of the movement that's taking place here. There is a line of, I am sure, what are loved ones of Officer Horan or people who knew him who are coming here right now. But things are gearing up. The procession has started in Raleigh, and it will end here in Greensboro. Live in Greensboro, Nixon Norman, WFMY News 2.
Nixon, thank you. And just for some clarification, the processional has not started in Raleigh yet. We do have a live camera in that area, and we will let you know as soon as that does happen. We're going to take a quick break right now, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Hi, doing a mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am still in the studio, so I'm gonna need like, how long do I have? Well, it's certainly been a wet and dreary day across the Piedmont, with these scattered light showers continuing to come down and temperatures still in the mid to upper 30s across our area. Winds out of the northeast still bringing in that cooler air, but not for much longer. A look at the satellite and radar for right now. We're currently tracking some isolated showers, plus the opportunity for some possible storms into this weekend. Ahead of it, though, some widespread scattered showers going to be possible into tonight as well as throughout the day tomorrow. So into tonight, we're only going to be falling back down a couple more degrees into the 40s, or excuse me, gaining a couple more degrees in the 40s by the afternoon. Low to middle 50s. Scattered showers are going to be possible available throughout the day ahead of some storm chances throughout the day on Sunday, which is why we have now issued a weather impact alert day. For the day on Saturday, we're in the 50s, 60s return on Sunday, with a couple of those scattered showers could be severe at times across our area. Let's take a look at it here on our future radar. More scattered showers and storms coming in by the time we're into Saturday night, but becoming severe more so by the time we're into Sunday in the time frame of around 11 o'clock through around 8 o'clock into the evening. We'll be keeping a close eye on this, and as should you. Make sure you have a way to receive severe weather alerts. Full 7-day forecast. Next couple of days, we're back in the 50s, eventually into the 60s for our weather impact alert day. Again, make sure you have a way to receive those alerts and keep that rain gear ready to go. Drying out early to start the week off. We're back in the 60s, kicking off 2025 a little bit cooler, back in the 40s and 50s.
Well, as we've been reporting, the procession for fallen Greensboro police officer Michael Horan is set to begin momentarily. Right now, you are seeing the police motorcade ahead of the ambulance that is transporting Officer Horan's body from the state medical examiner's office in Raleigh to the Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home in Greensboro.
And if you're unaware, this is the medical examiner's office is right off of Wade Avenue on the northwest side of the city. They will not have much city traffic before they actually get onto I-40, and then we'll take that all the way to Greensboro.
Yeah, we're expecting this procession to take about 90 minutes. Keep in mind that it is 4:45 on a Friday afternoon. There will be some traffic heading to and from Raleigh, with people in both directions obviously pausing to remember. We also now want to take a pause to just take in the reverence of this moment as we honor the life of Officer Michael Horan. You are watching the procession for fallen officer Michael Horan. Beautiful and very emotional display. You can see these lights of the patrol cars illuminating this dreary day, reflecting the mood so many of us here feel right now, as again we grieve the loss of a local first responder who gave his life protecting and serving. You can see several different agencies participating in this procession now from Raleigh to Greensboro. The fire department there in the background with flashing lights as well, doing its part to show support.
A very chilling couple of minutes there. I mean, the hair on my arm stands up just looking at this, knowing how heavy these hearts are of these law enforcement heroes, as well as their first responder counterparts, really just from every agency across at least central North Carolina. I'm sure they have come from far and wide, and it will be a very heavy day for lots of law enforcement today.
And if you're just now joining us, you might have missed earlier when we talked about the ambulance itself from Guilford County, and the driver of that ambulance is someone with Guilford County EMS who was with the department during this tragedy when paramedics and emergency first responders had to go to that grocery store and see the horror that unfolded inside.
And those that answered the 911 call and those that responded then to their own brother who needed them at such a terrible time. This is a map showing that route. Once it gets into our viewing area, kind of the edge of the Alamance County line is where you see it on the extreme right of your screen. It will follow that highlighted path along I-40, or it will then they'll hop onto I-840 and around to the southwest side of Greensboro, where they will end at the Haynes Lineberry Funeral Home. This procession, as you can imagine, going from Raleigh to Greensboro, will take about an hour and a half, and we plan to stay with you during the entirety of it, both while it's passing some of our live cameras and beyond. Today will be a very difficult day for a lot of people.
We know in addition to first responders lining up along the bridges and overpasses are civilians who just want to come out and pay their respects. All the police department asks is that everyone who does come out, maybe you're streaming us on your phone from one of those bridges right now and you're watching this come toward you, they just ask that you be respectful and mindful of traffic in the area.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to check in with some of our teams spread across the area to get a sense of how they are preparing for that very emotional processional to pass them. We'll be right back.
All right, we continue our team coverage live now with the procession for Officer Michael Horan having left the state medical examiner's office just a couple of minutes ago. A beautiful, powerful scene now as that motorcade and the procession that is following gets onto I-40 heading toward Greensboro.
We know that it'll still probably be about 45 minutes before that procession will actually arrive in our viewing area, that extreme eastern side of Alamance County. WFMY News 2's Manning Franks is kind of in that area. There's a road that goes over the interstate. It's called Cherry Lane in Haw River, and he's there now, and he's actually speaking with the sheriff over there. Manning.
Yes, Chad, I'm right here over now with Sheriff Terry Johnson of the Alamance County Sheriff's Office, and this is kind of an all too familiar sight that we find ourselves in today, especially with last year with Sergeant Nix's death. We're here once again, Sheriff Johnson, with the passing of Officer Horan. Tell me a little more about your feelings and your thoughts in this somber occasion, only a year later from Sergeant Nix's death.
It's really sad. Right at a year ago, I stood on this same bridge for an officer whose life was taken awful early, and that's Sergeant Nix. And here I am now today with the death of another officer, Horan, from Greensboro PD. I can't help but to think what their families have gone through this year and this Christmas. And it's happening too often in North Carolina and around the United States. Something has to be done.
You and I were both here literally a year ago on this same exact bridge. And what is going through your mind right now? Why is it important, do you believe, that we have Alamance County Sheriff's Office here on Cherry Lane Bridge? Why is it important for you guys to come out here to celebrate Officer Horan in this processional?
We're brothers. We're brothers in law enforcement. We all take the same oath of office. And it's like losing a family member anytime a law enforcement officer is killed. And you don't forget those things.
Last question that I have for you is that with the processional now starting, what can we expect from you guys up here at the bridge for the Alamance County Sheriff's Office?
As the procession approaches this bridge, you will see us all snap to attention to honor the work and the officer that lost his life. It's a sad thing for everybody, but that's a brother in law enforcement, and we will stand here as long as we have to honor him.
Sheriff Johnson, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you being up here.
Thank you, sir.
Back to you.
Manning, thanks so much. You might be wondering why you didn't see Manning in that live picture. He's actually pulling double duty today. He is reporting what he is seeing, but he is also behind the camera as the photographer. So, you know, we were able to get the sheriff in front of the camera, and, you know, we were able to interview him that way. But, I mean, the sorrow really spreads far and wide.
Yeah, and I talked earlier this week with Forsyth County Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough Jr., who shared that same sentiment. We are brothers and sisters in law enforcement, he said, and he was offering his deputies to do some patrol this week or however long is needed for the Greensboro Police Department. So we're seeing that unification front of Triad law enforcement supporting their brothers and sisters in blue.
Yep, and we're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back. You are watching WFMY News 2 at 5 o'clock, and as we continue to watch this procession move from the triad, or from the triangle to the triad, we're also hearing about just how many people this great hero touched, and just how many people felt compelled to do something to honor him. For example, an artist is honoring Officer Horan through art.
Junior Roddy created a one-of-a-kind laser-etched art paying tribute to Officer Horan. Look at this. Roddy says the portrait replicates a lifetime similar to the legacy of Officer Horan on his loved ones' hearts.
My hard work compared to their hard work and their loss is, I have no comparison to theirs. Theirs, a loss of life, is more than what I do. I can take a couple hours or a couple minutes. It's nothing to compare to their loss, their grief, and such.
Roddy says a loss like this 2 days before Christmas takes a toll on loved ones and countless people near and far.
There's too many being shot. They need to stop, get rid of the guns from people that have mental issues and stuff. It's too much. One's enough, but it seems like it's every year a law enforcement officer is murdered, and it's senseless.
This was his 5,000th piece created since May. That is an incredible piece of art.
The news of this tragedy has spread far and wide. A teenager in Illinois ran a mile yesterday in honor of the fallen officer. His efforts were part of the nonprofit called Running for Heroes. He told us why running for Horan was so important to him.
When I run, I like to think about what I'm going to say to the family when I'm done running. I think about mainly what they did for their community, how they touched each individual life that they served. A way to give back to the family and the community, which is what Running for Heroes is all about.
Boy, it's incredible that they do this. It is tragic that they have to do it so much, but it is incredible that they do it for someone they don't know in a state where they don't know anything about.
Yeah, this teenager from Illinois, just think about that, volunteered to do a run for an officer thousands of miles away. It was really powerful to see his action that he's taking to honor our fallen law enforcement near and far.
And, you know, we've got cameras all along I-40 from the triangle to the triad today. As we follow this processional, one of them, Joseph, is near one of those. It's actually Highway 61 in Whitsett, where there's an interchange here. Yeah,
Joseph, you've been speaking with EMS playing a big role in this procession. A member of EMS actually driving the ambulance transporting Officer Horan's body.
Yeah, we're here at the exchange between Highway 61 and I-40, where a lot of the first responder community is coming together to gather and honor Officer Michael Horan. As you can see behind me, we see Sheriff's Office, we see police officers. Down the road over here, you can't see them, but we see firefighters and police all just coming together, waiting to watch as that procession rolls through here. And I spoke with firefighters earlier who were telling me that there will be a fire truck with a raised flag on every bridge along the route in Guilford County, and fire trucks with flags raised high, standing as a powerful tribute to Officer Horan, a show of solidarity and support with the Greensboro Police Department. Also, people who live around here are lining the road, sharing in this heartfelt moment. You can kind of feel the weight of the emotion here, especially for those folks who are responding to first responders who know the risks of their jobs all too well. Yet day to day they suit up and go out there and protect us. Now, earlier we spoke with the Guilford County EMS, who were telling me that seeing all of these first responders come together is a true honor. Let's hear them, that soundbite.
When an event like this happens, that's where we really do tie together pretty closely. So it's one of those things where we're happy to show support however that is most helpful. So this is one of those ways where we're really honored to be involved, even in a small way, to help out, show that we really are a big family across the board.
And just over the past 30 minutes, we've just seen so many more first responders. We have people over here on this side who are coming out here to support, and people lining up across the bridge right here, all coming together to show honor and respect Officer Michael Horan. Back to you guys.
Joseph, thanks so much. I do want to ask you a quick question. Yesterday, I know that you spoke with several people who were out at the memorial that's growing outside the Greensboro Police Department. And one interview that you did really just struck me. It was a former first responder from New York City, a firefighter from up there, who then moved to North Carolina and worked for Elon University as an officer. Can you share his story and why he wanted to come out to that memorial to pay his respects?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, he was a former first responder. He just said it felt like a gut punch every time one of these happens. Obviously, he was here last year when Officer Sergeant Dale Nix was tragically shot and killed, and now obviously here with Michael Horan also being shot and killed. It's just, he says all first responders, obviously they all know the dangers, but once it happens, it just sets in, and it's really taking a toll on first responders. But he says he's gathering behind them. He's seeing first responders from all over Guilford County and Forsyth County coming together to honor Officer Michael Horan. And we should soon see that procession run through here in Whitsett. Reporting live in Whitsett, Joseph Leonard, WFMY News 2.
All right, right now you are taking a live look at another one of our cameras all along the procession route. This is the camera of Manning Franks, who just moments ago interviewed Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson. He's at the Cherry Lane overpass in the Hall River area, somewhat near the UPS distribution center. And this is going to be interesting, seeing this motorcade come through. This is 5 o'clock now on a Friday night, a route that typically on a normal day takes about 90 minutes from Raleigh to Greensboro, could take a bit longer. Of course, cars are going to clear the way for this beautiful motorcade to come through, showing it the reverence it deserves. But the question is how seamlessly that process will happen in peak rush hour. We know there are people converging on bridges and overpasses all along this route, now on I-40, ready to pay their respects, ready to stand at attention, as Sheriff Johnson said, to support a local hero as he's being considered. The mood of the day, the weather of the day really fits how a lot of people are feeling. This tragedy occurring just a couple days before Christmas.
And with two kids, with a wife at home, just unbelievable to think what this family is going through. And if you're going to be driving on I-40 in this area, you'll probably also notice a lot of flags that are going to be draped over those overpasses on the interstate. And I know that agencies all the way, every agency in Greensboro and Guilford County will be a part of this, as well as East and Alamance County, and then you go even further into Orange County, which is where we expect Officer Horan's body to be coming through really any moment now. But as you mentioned, with the traffic, the hope is, because it's a Friday during a holiday week, not as many people are working and not as many traffic issues. But we know that that camera will be our first camera that we will see them as they come into our viewing area.
As far as who is in the procession, multiple agencies are participating. As we mentioned, the driver of the Guilford County ambulance transporting the body is from our area. He is a local first responder paying his respects. There is a motorcycle procession leading the way in front of the ambulance. It is incredibly powerful to see. This procession is going to end in Greensboro at Haynes Lineberry Funeral Home. Nixon Norman is there. Nixon, wow, behind you we're seeing the fire department already showing a display of support.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Just as Joseph said, these flags that are raised at half-staff, usually by these fire engines, they will be on bridges and overpasses on the way here to Greensboro. But here in Greensboro already, this fire engine 10 has already hung their flag in respect of fallen Officer Michael Horan. More and more agencies are making their way here. Even speaking of flags, there's actually a half-staff flag here in front of the funeral home as well. So it's not just fellow law enforcement agencies giving their respect, it's the whole entire community. And Megan, as you kept saying about it being so gloomy and cold and just dreary out here, I said that upon pulling up. I was like, wow, what a fitting environment for the way that the people of Greensboro are feeling about this loss. And like I had said, there's several agencies coming over here. I'm going to pan the camera. The black car is Greensboro Police, but right next to it is Guilford County Sheriff's Office, just showing that yes, even though they are a part of different agencies, they are all coming together today to support one of their own who sadly lost his life just 2 days before Christmas. We are still here. Things are still wet and gloomy and sad, and we will be reporting live when the procession comes here and ends in Greensboro. Live in Greensboro, Nixon Norman, WFMY News 2.
Nixon, thank you so much. We're going to continue to monitor our cameras out there, and we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us.
Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Local first responders are coming to grips with the recent shooting tragedy.
For the first time since Monday's shooting, Guilford Metro 911's director is speaking publicly about what she experienced on that day. Taylor Leverett joins us in studio now. Taylor, this is a very difficult time for the entire agency, who's still working on ongoing calls at the moment. They can't take a break for this.
Well, Chad and Megan, it is understandably still difficult for many first responders. Those at the Guilford Metro 911 Center say Monday's call hit too close to home.
Here at Guilford Metro 911, operators answer many calls.
We have 12-hour shifts.
Director Melanie Jones says it was the call on Monday no one was prepared to take.
We started receiving calls from inside the store from people that were in the food line, and they told us that they had heard shots and that we had an officer down.
That officer was Officer Horan. He was responding to the call of a man with a gun inside of the Food Lion off Lawndale Drive. After an encounter, police say the suspect, Terrell McMillan, shot and killed Horan. Nearly 1 year ago, Greensboro police dealing with a similar tragedy.
Sorry.
During my sit down with Jones, she said dispatchers might be behind the scenes, but emotionally, they're on the front line.
We don't respond, but we send everybody else. So rarely do we know the outcome. So it's a lot of mental trauma.
Jones says the pain runs a little deeper knowing another first responder's life is lost.
Here in Greensboro, we are a very close-knit group. Officers from the police department, the sheriff's department, paramedics, the firefighters, they literally come by and visit us. And so a lot of our team members knew him, knew Officer Horan. They knew Sergeant Nix. And that makes it all the more difficult to deal with. It truly does.
Wow. She was so strong, and even to this day, you know, they're back at work, continuing their lives, continuing to serve our communities. I mean, it's just so touching.
And it is such an incredibly difficult job. At least it looks like it. I mean, you have to be so good at compartmentalizing what you hear on a daily basis, and understanding that, you know, it's not all bad, right?
Yeah, I remember reading the post she initially posted on Facebook after this happened, after the police gave their news conference, and she said it was really overwhelming, the number of 911 calls that were coming from inside the food line, and then to hear amidst all those calls that the officer not only had been shot but had died. Was very, very difficult. She said she was overwhelmed with emotion. I thought also what she said in that interview, Taylor, that was so powerful was 911 operators often don't know the outcome of the calls they take. I've heard that from her and also from Alamance County and working on a story with them. So this unfortunate outcome was one of the cases she had hoped wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the strength that they have. You know, she said it's a calling to be able to answer a call and keep yourself calm, and also keep the person on the other line calm as well too.
Boy, just a difficult thing. Taylor, thank you so much. We're going to keep our eye on our live cameras. We're going to take a quick peek and a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to WFMY News 2 at 5, where we are continuing to follow really just an emotional procession going from Raleigh to Greensboro for the fallen officer Michael Horan.
We are a few minutes away from when this procession is expected to enter the Triad area, specifically Haw River, and then eventually to Burlington and into Greensboro. Manning Franks, if you've been watching us, you know, is live on one of the bridges with Alamance County Sheriff's Office, and he's also talking with some civilians who have come out and paid their respects. Here's a portion of a conversation he had just moments ago.
Today to show them respect, just man went down in his duty for his city, not only in the city, but also his country, was in the Coast Guard, and It's an honor to see all these people showing their respect out here along the interstate when they come through. It's just an honor to be here, and we pray for all our responders as they do their duty, and they're in our prayers and thoughts, and it's showing respect, and we just thank the people to come out here, and each sheriff in each county, the job they're doing along with their deputies and others, and they're continuing to be in our prayers.
And just look at me the entire time and you're asking the next question, but tell me a little more, for you personally, why is it important for you to be out here today, even amidst the rain?
Well, my daddy and his brother helped Horace Stocker, which was the sheriff in Alamance County years ago. And so I sort of wanted to get into law enforcement. The education and everything didn't go that route, but I paid their respect, and I went to school with Terry Johnson, which everybody knows in Alamance County. And the job they're doing up there, and not only Blackwood, there in Orange County too, the job they're doing down there. And it's an honor just to show our respect for them and their work. They call them, they come, and just being a part of their life coming up in Alamance and Orange County.
And you're from Alamance County, correct?
Yeah, the big town of Swepsonville.
Swepsonville.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And for the last question that I have for you is, obviously you're carrying the American flag here today to wave in honor of Officer Horan.
Yes.
Tell me a little more about why is that important, not just for you to be here, as we talked about, but why is it important to wave that flag here today when you're standing up as the overpass?
We live in the best country in the world. We're praying for our leaders and leaders as we go into 2025. Hope, praying everything go under God's orders. And we continue to pray for our country, our leaders of it, our county, our state. And the American flag, like I said, it's the best country in the world. It may not go all the way that way, but it's we know that God's in control, and it was founded upon His Word here in the United States of America, our founders, forefathers. And it's an honor to be here watching the respect for this parade coming through in a little bit. And we continue to pray for the family and our other responders as they work.
And actually, I have one more question. What is it like seeing, because obviously this is not the only bridge that has people.
No.
What is it like seeing all the different agencies, but just regular folk here in North Carolina coming together to honor Officer Horan?
Yes, when I came off Buckhorn Road a while ago, there was about 5 or 6 sheriff cars on the ramp there headed this way for the time when the reception come through. But it is an honor. And it's really, I hate to say this, it's really a privilege to be here under these circumstances, but we have to show our respect and honor for our law enforcement. And that's the reason we're here. And like I said, we live in the best country in the world, the United States of America.
You have just been listening to an interview that our Manning Franks just did with a gentleman who just came by that bridge in Alamance County and wanted to show his support. He brought his flag, he brought his patriotism, and really was emotional just talking about the sacrifice that Officer Horan made.
This is a live look now at that overpass where that man, one of many, gathered there. You're also seeing deputies with the Alamance County Sheriff's Office. We know Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson is among them. You can see the fire department in the backdrop there, ready as this procession is making its way closer. Just minutes out now. We will take you back here live as it happens.
Welcome back to WFMY News 2 at 5, where you are getting a live look of Interstate 40 looking east in Alamance County as we await the processional that is transporting the body of Officer Michael Horan back to Greensboro. The headlights you're seeing are actually the vehicles headed west. So this camera is facing east. The traffic headed toward the camera is headed west, and that is where we will see this processional cross in just a matter of minutes.
Yeah, it left Raleigh around 4:45, and it will be slow going as it hits peak rush hour. Of course, drivers are going to do their best to heed the motorcade as it approaches them, and we are watching that camera very closely. We know at this bridge behind our live picture that we're showing you now is a show of support from the Alamance County Sheriff's Office. We spoke earlier with Sheriff Terry Johnson, who said, really, when one officer, one department experiences a tragedy, everyone really feels it. Today, the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office is also among the badges linked in unity for their fallen comrade. Monday night, after the tragedy, I spoke with Sheriff Bobby Kimbrough Jr. He was ready to cross county lines to offer support.
Their family going to need this entire community, you know, and so what I would say to the community, what I would say to your viewers is that let's give them all the support they need and then some. Let's give GPD all the support they need and then some. You know, we're going to send a cable out if you need us to send people over there to ride the streets for you while your guys do whatever they got to do. You know, it's a family, it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood.
All right, it looks like as we take you back live to this camera situated at the Cherry Lane overpass in Haw River near the UPS distribution center, traffic is clearing out, and we believe this procession is just moments away now, heading down I-40 East as it makes its way from the state medical examiner's office in Raleigh, where it left about 4:45, to Haynes Lineberry Funeral Home in Greensboro.
And we don't know the exact traffic plan, but you saw just moments ago, this was 3 lanes across of back-to-back, bumper-to-bumper traffic, and now really just a small trickle of cars. So the idea is maybe they're blocking off exits or trying to corral the traffic so this motorcade can have an exact right down the middle, no problems, no nothing.
Yeah, we saw the patrol vehicle with its flashers on, seemingly giving the signal to cars in front of it that they did need to clear the way. As soon as you see, we believe, several motorcycles, the motorcade, you will soon see the ambulance transporting the body of Officer Michael Horan. That ambulance from Guilford County EMS, driven by an EMS worker from our area. Obviously, the entire triad grieving this loss, but first responders really feeling it deeply right now.
And so this is the extreme eastern side of Alamance County. We know that that is the end of our viewing area. So as the motorcade passes through Orange County and crosses over into Alamance, we will get really one of the first looks here, once it passes through Mebane. To give you a little bit of an idea of where our camera is right now, it's on this Cherry Lane overpass in Haw River, which is halfway between Burlington and Mebane, near that UPS distribution center you see in that area. And it looks as though the motorcade is headed our way. Let's take a moment to take it in. You have been watching the processional carrying the body of fallen officer Michael Horan as it passed under the overpass, under the Cherry Lane overpass in Haw River. That last image you saw right there was Sheriff Terry Johnson. I imagine very emotional to see this pass through his county.
You could see it in his face right there. He had spoken with our Manning Franks just a few minutes earlier, saying everyone just feels so united today. His department felt like it wanted to do its part because this could have happened anywhere to any one of our first responders who give their lives to protect and serve their communities. I know many of you felt that same emotion we probably did, just seeing the beautiful image of that motorcade and the ambulance as it passed down the highway. All of those vehicles with their lights flashing amidst the fogginess of the night, but also in silence and reverence. The only sound I heard was presumably from one of the fire trucks that's on that bridge. We know in another 20 to 30 minutes or so, this motorcade is going to head through Whitsett, Burlington. We have a camera in that area as well, and we'll take you there live.
That's right, and a heavy day for sure, and we've got a lot more coming up after the break.
Can you hear me, Michael? So Deborah asked us not to use that interview. Can we use the interview with the other gentleman that we shot about 10 minutes ago? Did y'all see that?
Some breaking news on the weather front. We've now issued a weather impact alert day throughout the day on Sunday, mainly between the hours of 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. due to an increasing risk of some storms across the region, bringing in not only heavy rain and wind, but also a possible isolated tornado threat. Again, you're going to want to make sure you're keeping cautious while driving and also staying alert, making sure you're able to receive severe weather alerts throughout the day on Sunday. This system is not the same system that is going to impact us on Sunday. However, we still could see a couple of isolated showers. I'm not expecting anything severe with this system, mainly just light rain and lots of cooler temperatures. That's ahead of a warm up though, as we start to see this warm front lift toward the north. This next system that is currently behind me is going to start to sweep toward our area by the time we're into Saturday and Sunday. This approaching cold front, that's going to be the line of storms that we will need to be watching throughout the day on Sunday, again, mainly in the hours of 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. For the day tomorrow, widespread scattered showers going to be possible as that warm front continues to lift north. We're starting out in the 40s by the afternoon, low to middle 50s, a little bit warmer, notably warmer than what we saw today in the 40s. Starting to warm up by the day we're into Sunday, cloudier and also warmer. Few scattered showers and severe storms are going to be possible throughout the day. So here it is on the future radar, a little bit more zoomed in. That line of severe storms is going to be possible, especially into the early afternoon and evening, sweeping across the area, out of our area by the time we get to 8 or 9 o'clock. Still a remnant shower or two is going to be possible, but by then severe threat will be dying down. Storm Prediction Center has us under a medium risk. This is a slight risk, meaning scattered severe storms are going to be possible across our area throughout the day on Sunday. Flash flooding risk also in place from the Weather Prediction Center, showing that excessive rainfall could lead to flash flooding in some spots, which matches up pretty perfectly with some of that rainfall potential across our area over the next 5 days. 1 to 2 inches for most of us, with other places, especially here in the mountains and foothills, able to receive between 2 to 3 inches, possibly even more than that. So again, weather impact for Sunday going to be between 11 o'clock to 8 p.m. Some things that you want to make sure you're doing. That means going outside, making sure those outdoor loose items are secured. Scattered severe storms, you're going to make sure that you are able to receive those severe weather alerts heading into the day. 7-day forecast next couple of days. We're starting to warm up. We're back in the 50s for Saturday, 60s for the day on Sunday. Into next week, abnormally dry to start out, especially after this weekend. We're back in the lower 60s with a couple of shower chances for Tuesday, cooling off in the 50s and eventually in the 40s as we begin 2025.
Well, despite the drizzle outside and the rush hour traffic, the procession for Officer Michael Horan is making good timing. The body left the state medical examiner's office in Raleigh around 4:45 and just a few moments ago. So within 40 or so minutes was in Haw River and then is now heading toward the Whitsett-Burlington area.
And that's where Joseph Leonard is on an overpass at the Highway 61 overpass there in Whitsett. It's next to the Red Oak Brewery, Guilford McIntosh Park, the TA Travel Center over there. Looks like there are a lot of people behind you.
Yeah, we're standing here at the intersection of Highway 61 and I-40. Like you said, Chad, this crowd has grown over the past 30, 40 minutes. I mean, we have police here, we have EMS here, we have sheriff's deputies here, we have firefighters here, all coming together to honor Officer Michael Horan. And, you know, the first responders I've spoken to here are almost overcome with emotion. Some of them telling me that, you know, they can't even speak. You know, this last week has been very, very difficult for them. And we have fire trucks here who are paying tribute to Officer Horan. You know, just a show of solidarity, having all of these first responders coming together to support the Greensboro Police Department. Also, people who live around here are lining the roads as well. We spoke to several people, some who had family members in the force and some who were retired first responders as well. And you can feel the weight of emotion here. I mean, some police officers I've been speaking to can't even speak because they're just overcome with so much emotion. I spoke with a former first responder. Let's take a listen to what he said.
We're still not on the job. They're still our brothers and sisters.
And how difficult has this week been?
It's been pretty difficult, especially for my wife, being wearing in blue for so many years. But being in the fire department, I've worked with a lot of police officers. We're really close, and being married to her for 34 years, police officers just as much a brotherhood to me the fire department is.
When you see firefighters out here, EMS out here, we've got police, deputies, all these first responders coming together to pay tribute and honor.
They're here to pay honor to all their brothers and sisters, past and present.
And we were talking off camera, you know, y'all all understand how dangerous these jobs can be. I mean, you know when you leave the front door every morning, you might never come
Right.
back. But when it happens, especially so close to home, just how emotional is that?
Yeah, it's very emotional. I worked a 24-hour shift, and every shift I walked out the door, even after my wife.
All right, we had to cut out that interview early. This is a live picture of that motorcade passing now in Whitsett, which is at the Highway 61 interchange.
Let's take a moment to take this in.
You have been watching a live picture as the processional crosses over into Guilford County at the basically the county line in Whitsett at Highway 61. I mean, just not a pin drop.
Yep, the patrol cars have their flashers on, but you don't hear anyone on that bridge, and there are a lot of people on that bridge. You don't hear anyone saying anything. We know the law enforcement officers are standing at attention as they give reverence to the moment, the body of Officer Horan being transported back home to Greensboro. We now know his funeral is set for January 9th. Details still to be released. It's unclear if this will be a big gathering where the public is invited, like we saw last year with Sergeant Nix, or if this will be a private endeavor. But we know so many people far and wide are praying for the Horan family right now. Horan was a father. He was a husband. He was a friend to so many. He was a teacher. We saw earlier a photo of our reporter, videographer Manning Franks, standing with him just a few weeks ago at a training event trying to educate about safety in our community. He was an incredible person based on testimony from all who knew him.
And two things I noticed in that live picture there. One is, again, the traffic. There was no other traffic. I mean, it was just that procession. But then also the vehicles headed in the opposite direction. I mean, imagine driving down the road and seeing such a spectacle as you see it pass you. Most people probably didn't even know what it was, but those that did, I'm sure it was a very emotional moment to see them pass that processional.
Yeah, we've been observing how quickly traffic is to clear this normally busy highway. It looks like out of the camera's view, there are extra traffic enforcement agencies working to move traffic to those 3 lanes, letting the motorcade pass on the left and then reopening those lanes very quickly to get traffic moving again. This motorcade is making pretty good time from Raleigh to Greensboro, where we expect that procession to end at Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home within the hour.
And just off camera, I saw the camera that we have at the Rock Creek Dairy exit on that interstate. The procession just passed that, so if you're familiar with Guilford County, get an idea of where this procession is headed. We've got a lot more on the other side of the break. Stay with us. You have been continuing to watch our coverage on WFMY News 2 at 5 of the procession that is bringing the body of former Officer Michael Horan back to Greensboro from the Triangle.
Yeah, just off camera, we've been peeking at some of our DOT traffic cams as this motorcade and the following procession makes its way very quickly from Alamance County now into Guilford County. Looking at a map, it appears as though this procession is only about 20 minutes or so from its final destination of Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home on Gate City Boulevard. That is, if it does not encounter traffic heading into city limits.
And we know Nixon Norman has been there for the last couple of hours as more and more law enforcement and first responders have arrived to show their support ahead of that final location in this processional. Nixon, how's it looking out there?
Yeah, Chad, that's right. Even though it's getting more cold out here and much more dark out here, there are people on each side of me over here. There's a bunch of news crews on this sidewalk, but there are community members on either side of me that have shown up in their jackets with umbrellas. I've actually been taking a look at some of the homes that are here behind the Haynes Funeral Home. They have News 2 on the TV watching the procession at home, just showing how much people care and how much this has impacted the community. And I'm actually going to step out of the way too, because it's not just community members. If you can see right here, there are dozens of cops lined up right outside of the Haynes Funeral Home waiting for their brother, fallen Officer Michael Horan. They're not here yet, of course, as you've been watching. The procession is still taking place. They're still making their way here to Greensboro, but more and more people are arriving to pay their respects. Live in Greensboro, Nixon Norman, WFMY News 2.
Keeping a close eye on the radar, it's been chilly and also rainy across the Piedmont. You can see it here on the satellite and radar right behind me. Lots and lots of clouds with isolated showers continuing to make their way into North Carolina and from the south into the Piedmont. Overall, it's been a very chilly night tonight. We're still in the 30s with more rain showers into tonight as well as into this upcoming weekend. Right now, we're in the mid to upper 30s across the area, and boy, is it chilly. Feels like we're in the middle 30s due to cooling from evaporational cooling due to rainfall actually coming through the area. Temperatures right now are in the upper 30s and lower 40s, 39 in Greensboro and in Burlington, 40 there in High Point and in Lexington. Could drop a couple of degrees the next couple of hours, but we're likely going to stay in the 40s into tomorrow morning. By the afternoon, due to changes in winds, we could be back in the 50s for tomorrow and even into the 60s for Sunday. You're going to want to make sure you have the rain gear throughout this weekend, but definitely by the time we're into Sunday, where we actually could see a couple of severe storms making their way in across the area. Timeline mainly is going to be between 11 a.m. until 8 o'clock p.m. with heavy rain and gusty storms, which is why we have issued a weather impact alert day throughout the day on Sunday. In that time frame, make sure you have a way to receive severe weather alerts. Again, main threats are going to be damaging wind gusts for this area, heavy rain and wind, and could even see an isolated tornado. Make sure you stay with us as we continue to bring you updates on what to expect in the Sunday forecast.
From Raleigh to Greensboro, today is a day to honor fallen Greensboro police officer Michael Horan.
Bridges and overpasses were packed as Officer Horan made his way home.
It's a sad thing for everybody, but that's a brother in law enforcement, and we will stand here as long as we have to honor him.
you can really see that manifestation of all the first responder family kind of coming together. We sort of try to show that broad manifestation of us all pulling together in this really tough time.
A 911 operator is sharing the moment she learned Officer Horan was shot.
They told us that they had heard shots and that we had an officer down.
We're also learning more about that call that sent police to the Food Lion in the first place.
And we now know when Officer Horan's funeral will take place.
Good evening. You were watching WFMY News 2 at 6, and it is hard not to get emotional when thinking about the heaviness of this day.
You've been watching a police officer, a husband, and a father make his final journey home. From the State Medical Examiner's office in Raleigh back to Greensboro, the final destination on this procession is the Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home, where we expect this motorcade to arrive in a matter of minutes now. All along this route, which started at the State Medical Examiner's office around 4:45, we have seen an incredible show of support. Law enforcement agencies from all across the state, civilians coming from all over to converge on those bridges and overpasses to stand at attention and stand in solidarity, honoring a man whom many consider a hero.
And the silence was so powerful. You know, you're out there and you're sharing stories and you're talking to people, but as soon as you see those first red and blue lights come around the bend on the interstate, silence. I mean, and I get chills just talking about it because it is such a heavy, heavy moment.
Earlier, one of the first responders, I believe it was the head of Guilford Metro EMS, and he was talking about the weather today. How ironically it is so fitting with the mood, the somberness this whole community has felt since this tragedy occurred at a crowded grocery store on Monday morning, just 2 days before Christmas.
And thinking about that poor family that had to go through this week without really their patriarch. It has been really difficult for really everyone to process. Let's go to Nixon Norman now, who is outside of the funeral home where, boy, just lots of law enforcement agencies and everyday people have gathered. Nixon.
So we know the procession is taking place in the area. It's very close, but it's not yet here to Haynes Funeral Home in Greensboro just yet. I'm going to tell you a lot of what I see here. As I mentioned in my last hit, that we have community members on either side of the media here showing their respect for fallen officer Michael Horan. But over here at the actual funeral home, we have a large GPD police bus here. When this first arrived, it came with several patrol cars, basically to man the traffic and the situations that will be taking place here. Right next to that big bus, you see dozens and dozens of people lined up. At first, it seemed that there was a bunch of police officers here, but I see a person in a hoodie. I see a person with an umbrella, people who are not officers lined up outside of the funeral home. You move over just a little bit more and there's that hanging flag. The same kind of flag that was hanging over a bunch of the overpasses and the bridges on the way here to Greensboro. It's being held up by fire engine number 10, a Greensboro fire engine. You continue to move forward, and then there is a flag at half staff here by the funeral home, just showing that it's not the law enforcement agencies that are showing their respect only, it is the entire community. There are still patrol officers and units, again, out here manning the traffic situation. I saw people from Greensboro Police, and I even saw officers with, or more so law enforcement agents with Guilford County Sheriff's Office, again, just showing that it doesn't matter who you are with, what agency you are with. This is a loss that is felt among agencies all across the Triad and the state and beyond. Just here waiting for the procession to come by.
Nixon, you were showing us photos, the live picture of really just everyday people who have come to join this. I'd like to ask you a question. I know that yesterday you were over at that growing memorial outside of GPD headquarters in downtown Greensboro, just kind of taking in the scene and talking with people and seeing things that they have left behind. You had read a note last night on the news about one of the things that somebody had left. What other items did people leave behind for this officer?
Yeah, Chad, and actually that note that you mentioned, one of the things on it was your duties have been completed. Really just almost giving Officer Horan the ability to peacefully lay down that, yes, he died in the line of fire, but you know what? His duties are now complete. Other things that were there were a bunch of Christmas kind of ornaments, wreaths, bows, because of course this happened just 2 days before Christmas, which is horrible. It's horrible that it happened at all, but right around the holiday season, it just packs that much more of a punch. There were a bunch of things that were Coast Guard related, because as we know, Officer Horan was formerly in the Coast Guard, so there was a bunch of these things that had that sort of script on there, the Coast Guard logos. There was also a sweatshirt on there that really took me off guard. It said something about fight, and there was actually a woman who had placed her hand on it for quite some time there, but there was a lot of things there.
Nixon, are you able to just explain, the mood, the feeling right now in that area? As you know, and as we've been telling folks at home, I mean, this will be where this processional ends in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Actually, right behind me, there are 2 cars pulling up. I do not know if that is actually the procession, because if I continue to look down the road, I just see a sea of lights slowly making their way towards me. To answer your question, Chad, it's kind of crazy. It's like what you were saying just a moment ago. And that's actually, I'm going to pause because it is so silent here, just like you were saying, Chad.
All right, we are watching this motorcade as it enters the last leg of its procession. It started around 4:45 from the State Medical Examiner's office in Raleigh and has been a beautiful display of support from all across the state ever since, as this procession made its way down I-40 into Greensboro, with the final stop at Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home, where there are dozens of Greensboro police officers, those who knew Officer Horan best, standing ready to stand at attention as that ambulance makes its way to this funeral home. We know the funeral service is still a couple of weeks away right now, set for January 9th. Greensboro police still finalizing final details of that. It's unclear if it will be open to the public, but undoubtedly we see the public's support. Look at the police flag there, ready for this motorcade as it makes its way into a place Officer Horan called home.
And we see that thin blue line that signifies that moment, and it looks as though the lights are getting brighter. We know that there tend to be, we've seen at some of our other live cameras, a couple of vehicles out front, police vehicles that are lead to make sure the road is clear, and it looks like here comes the motorcade. Let's take a look.
This is quite an emotional scene here. You can see the fire department, several police escort vehicles, and then you saw the comrades of Officer Michael Horan greeting that ambulance as it came to Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home, the final stop on this procession before the funeral on January 9th. It's tough to think about Monday morning when Officer Horan was working just a couple days before Christmas, no doubt looking forward to the holidays spent with his family. We know he's a husband and a father, and he never came home from work.
And, you know, I think about Christmas morning when that family awoke and wanted to do what all other families were doing, open presents and really see the gifts from the parents. And I just can't imagine what that moment, what that morning was like for them. You see a person out there holding the flag with the thin blue line on it that really signifies support for law enforcement, especially those who have fallen in the line of duty, which is something that that has occurred here. And you know, we saw this entire motorcade travel starting out at the state medical examiner's office this afternoon and has now made it here. We watched as it passed under overpasses where law enforcement from all different agencies had gathered to pay their respects. A lot of people who were out there probably didn't know Michael Horan, but it wasn't about knowing him, it was about knowing his heart and knowing what he did for our community.
It looks like some things are happening closer to the funeral home entrance, but out of respect for the family, we have panned off of that shot as Officer Horan's body makes its way into the funeral home. So right now, this is deliberately us looking at the procession and the crowd of supporters. Chad, you mentioned the groups, the crowds of strangers and law enforcement agents who lined this route all the way from Raleigh into Greensboro to salute this officer, many of them standing out in the cold and the dreariness for hours, just waiting for this motorcade and the procession to pass them. It was so powerful to see. Another powerful point of note is today, we did not talk a lot about the suspect. This day is about Officer Horan, but there was something very powerful that the Greensboro Police Department said last night, and that was in arresting the suspect 3 hours away from the crime scene, they used Officer Horan's handcuffs. Powerful symbolism.
Incredibly powerful, including, I mean, just look at this shot. Greensboro Fire Department has lifted their ladder and draped a flag over the entrance of the Haynes-Lineberry Funeral Home here in Greensboro in preparation of Officer Horan's body's arrival. It has now arrived, and now they go through the process of gracefully taking his body into the funeral home for its final arrangements.
Again, we are keeping our distance from this very emotional moment. We know some of the colleagues who knew Officer Horan best are gathered there. Several other departments had lined the procession route, and officers, EMS, and Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson told us in interviews throughout our coverage today that they are all serving the same purpose, and that is to protect and serve the triad. They take this oath to give their lives, if necessary, to protect the greater good of our communities, and Officer Horan did that on Monday morning. It's
Really just extraordinary when you think about the similarities to the tragic death of Sergeant Dale Nix a year ago, almost a year ago to the day, during the holidays. It's unbelievable that we're sitting here doing this again for another officer who tragically lost their life. We have a lot more coming up on the other side of the break, but we are going to take a quick break and we will be right back. Our mics are still hot in case